Flying high in the sky with his shining finger comes the latest addition to the Real Grade line, the Real Grade Shining Gundam. Despite being the precursor to the God Gundam in the anime, it is the opposite in model kit form. Can it live up to the greatness of the RG God Gundam and ascend to godlike status, or will it be a rare Real Grade letdown? Let's find out. Releasing in June of 2025 for a price of 3,850 yen, we have the RG Shining Gundam. The box is the standard real grade box with a CG render in the front and the CG close-up at the back. The box is also typical real grade size, being similar to the RX-78, the God Gundam, and the Force Impulse Gundam, to mention a few. Taking a closer look at the box, it is the standard real grade CG render, but this time it's the transform mode at the back, with the normal mode being in the front. We have the typical real grade logo and the name of the mobile suit. At the side, we have the condensed version. It is number 42 in the real grade line. Man, time really flies. I could have sworn we were just at the 20s. At the top, we have the kit doing all sorts of cool poses, as it should. It is a martial arts mobile suit, so by design, it should be doing all these poses. We have a cockpit hatch, we have some other gimmicks, we have a core lander. As said there below, it is unpainted, but it was panel lined and decaled, so that's what it would look like with a little bit of effort. At the rest of the side, we have the legal stuff. There are no artists credited for it because it is just a CG render. At the other side, same thing. At the top of the box, you have lots of things to see. I'm not going to read all of it, so feel free to just pause if you want to take a closer look. But basically, it says that it can transform, it has different articulation gimmicks, it has lots of hand options, including the shining finger, lots of color separation, the advanced MS joints, and of course, the realistic real grade decals. Opening the box, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of runners, an advertisement for this year's GBWC, and the manual. At the front of the manual, we have the Shining Gundam in super mode, giving us a mean look. We have the runner list. We are gonna have some unused parts. I believe this is from the God Gundam runner. Going further into the manual, we have some description about the Shining Gundam, the pilot Domon Kashu, and the core lander. Moving forward, it's just more instructions. Then we have the description of the super mode and the different other modes, the battle mode and the normal mode. Flipping along the pages, we will find ourselves with the weapons of the mobile suit, which is not a lot. We have the Vulcan gun, the beam sword, the machine cannon, and of course the shining shot. Flipping onto the last page, we have how to transform it into the super mode with actual frames from the anime, which is a really nice touch. The transformation is more simple and streamlined compared to something like the unicorn, so I hope this will be a pretty painless process. Then at the back, we have the decal marking guide and of course the color chart. Looking at runner A1, we have it in red and white. We have some clear pieces for the chest and the head. And then of course we have the shining finger in this sort of metallic gloss injection finish. Looking at runner A2, we have some duplicate parts. We have it in red, white, and yellow, and some clear parts for the core lander. Then we have runner B, which is advanced MS joint 20, which is reused from the RG God Gundam released a few years ago. Speaking of which, we have runner C, which is in this dark gray for some frame parts. This is reused from the RG God Gundam as well. Then we have runner D in this dark gray for some frame parts as well. This is labeled RG Shining Gundam this time. Then we have two runner E's also in the frame gray. This is for mostly the arms and the legs. Runner F in white for some armor parts. Then we have runner G in this off-white, which means we are gonna get that classic two-tone RG white. Then for some more armor bits, we have runner H in this more primary blue. Then lastly, for the mobile suit, we have two runner eyes in this gloss metallic injection gold. It actually looks pretty decent despite not being plated. I wonder if they changed how they made these parts. Then lastly, we have runner SB5 for some beam saber effect parts. It is different from the traditional one, which is usually SB13. Then lastly, we have the RG style decals. We do have this nice decal of the G Gundam logo. And that's it for all the stuff that comes with the kit. Let's go build it, shall we? Starting off with the legs, it consists of 45 pieces each, and for a real grade, we have the full inner frame, of course. And as you can see from how it builds, there's gonna be lots of articulation gimmicks, which is gonna be the highlight of this mobile suit. We also get some nice detail with the two-tone white. We also get some nice frame parts sticking out, which is commonplace for real grades nowadays. And of course, we have the injection gold parts for the transformation to super mode. Building the legs was pretty fun. There wasn't any problematic parts whatsoever, nothing was falling off, everything just went on smoothly, and it was a very fun building experience. And what you get in the end is a very sturdy, nicely designed, very detailed leg. For the waist, it consists of 34 pieces. We get 2 articulation gimmicks. One for the base of the waist where the torso connects so that you can get a better forward and backward bend. Then we also have the classic hip joint where you can move it downward to get better kicks. Then the rest of the armor builds up nicely. We have the gray part sticking out. We get the two-tone white and some red pieces. The side skirts are asymmetrical as one of them is meant to hold the beam sabers. And uniquely, they connect to the back skirt instead of their own joint in the waist. All that being said, you end up with a nice waist with lots of articulation gimmicks and good detail. The torso is 27 pieces total, which is pretty simple for a real grade. We have a ball joint in between the torso parts. We have some opening hatch gimmicks. We have the yellow vents, of course. Then we have a shoulder articulation joint gimmick. The neck is triple jointed, so expect some good articulation. We get some tiny pieces for the chest machine gun Vulcans. For the green clear part, you can actually place a green metallic sticker. In the end, we have a simple but detailed torso, and I love the shade of blue they used. For the arms, it consists of 24 pieces each. We have the advanced MS joint frame. It's a little bit tight. You have to loosen it up a bit before you move it, but I don't think it'll be problematic over time. One is used for the shoulder area, then the other is used for the forearm to waist area. Again, you have to loosen it a bit, be careful not to break it. This results in the arm having lots of articulation points. Then we have the gold parts for the super mode and the arm covers. The shoulder parts, despite having a transformation, is pretty simple in terms of construction, which leads to a nice solid build despite having a transformation and lots of articulation gimmicks. The head is probably the most interesting part of this build because of the transformation. We have 17 pieces in total, and despite having lots of tiny pieces and moving parts, it seems to not have any problem holding everything together. Nothing was flying out, everything just fit right into place. And that's really impressive and unexpected for something with so many parts in such a tiny form factor. I was really preparing for the worst, but I ended up having lots of fun. And you end up with this really nice and solid, transformable head. Then we have the Corelander. This tiny thing has 21 pieces, believe it or not. Despite being so small and complex, it didn't really have problems building it. Nothing was too loose, nothing was finicky. It was pretty easy to build. However, we don't have any landing gear included, so you can't really display it on the ground, which is kind of a missed opportunity, but it still looks good regardless. Putting it all together, the mobile suit is 237 pieces. The Corelander attaches from the back. The head is on a ball joint, the waist is on a peg, legs are also both pegs. Shoulder joints are ball joints as well. Overall, everything put on pretty smoothly, nothing's too tight, so I'm not scared of anything breaking. Also, nothing's too loose, nothing's flying out. Overall, it's built almost like a figure, honestly. Taking a look at the aesthetics of the kit, you know that it's definitely a real grade. We have great detail, two-tone white, we have frames sticking out, but something feels wrong. Let's fix that. That's much better. Seeing this kit do dynamic poses just feels right. And as a challenge for this kit for the rest of the review, I won't be using an action base. All of the poses I'm gonna put on this guy are all gonna be on the ground, just to see how balanced it is. In terms of height, it's the standard Gundam height. Here's it next to the Exia, the Arc 78, the Police Zaku, and the G-Clocks. Back to the aesthetics of the kit, it is a real grade, so you get great color separation and detail, but this one has a nice balance to it. You can even add your own detail, be it more decals or scribing, especially on the shoulders. The proportion of the kit is also pretty great. It follows the same modernization motifs that the real grade God Gundam did, and it really complements the kit, especially when you put it in dynamic poses. And even in normal mode, it looks great, but wait till you guys see the transformation, which I'll show later. But first, let's talk about what it comes with out of the box in terms of accessories. We actually don't get a lot. We just get 5 pairs of hands, the Shining Finger, 2 beam sabers, and of course, its effect parts. The hands attach via a ball joint. For the right arm, we have 1 flat open hand, another open hand but in a more grasping motion, a fully closed fist, a open fist for holding the beam sabers, and a karate chop hand. Of course, you can't forget the Shining Finger in this metallic green. The left arm is pretty much the same. We have the open dynamic hand, a more relaxed hand, the fully closed fist, the beam saber holding hand, and the karate chop hand. The beam sabers are your standard affair. You get 1 long and 1 short, the beam effects attached via a peg. To grip it, you just slide it onto the hands. The grip itself is pretty solid despite not having any connection points. To store it into the mobile suit, you just slide it into the slots in the left side skirt. And that's it for the accessories. Now let's talk about the transformation of the kit to super mode. Overall, it was a pretty easy process, one of the easiest ones considering this is a 1/144th scale kit to transform. I suggest using tweezers for the mouth, but besides that, it was pretty easy and painless. Nothing was too loose, nothing was too tight, nothing was falling off. One of the easier transformations I've seen in a model kit. However, one issue is that these don't have any locking mechanisms, so while you're moving it around and posing it, it sometimes undoes the transformation, which is a bit unfortunate, but that's a little nitpick. Almost forgot, there's a little flap here at the bottom of the waist where it reveals a 3mm peg hole where you can attach an action base. Now let's talk about probably the best aspect of this kit, which is definitely the articulation. For the head, it is on a ball joint at the base, and at the neck, you can actually have a double joint so it can slide forward and backward and look upward and downward. For the torso movement, we get a great side to side, and the waist joint can actually expand so you can get a good forward bend and a backward bend at the ab, which is a really good gimmick for the more dynamic poses. The shoulder joint has a gimmick where you can pop it out so you can move the arm more forward or backward. The arm can move sideways to an almost vertical point. The shoulder by itself can wiggle a little bit up and down. There's a full 360-degree rotation at the upper bicep. We get a full double-jointed elbow bend. We also have a full 360 on the upper forearm. The hands are on a ball joint, and we do have a little wiggle on the wrist. The blue arm covers can move around like so. The front skirts are individually articulated so they can go up all the way. The side skirts are on a ball joint so they can do what a ball joint does and rotate all around. Then the back skirt can move in and out. The hip joint has that peg moving gimmick where you can move it forward to get better kicks. The front kick can go up really high. It goes pretty much as you would really want. For the back kick, it goes around perpendicular to the mobile suit. Because of the armor design, it can't rotate full 360, but it can go inward and outward pretty much as you would need. For the knee bend, we get a little articulation gimmick, which is nice. The knee bend is a full bend. The sides of the calves can pop out for the super mode. The ankle joint here is just perfection. It can go inward to almost basically sideways, and the same could be said for the outward bend. The forward lean is also really good, which helps a lot in ground poses. The forward bend can go pretty much vertical for the flying and kicking poses. And the front of the toe has a little bit of wiggle. A cool feature of this thing at the ankle guard is that it can be used as a stabilizer for ground poses, and it really helps a lot in balancing the kit. Lastly, for the Corelander, it has a little bit of wiggle at the base, and these little wing bits can rotate side to side, up and down. And that's it for the articulation, and what can I say? It's A pluses across the board, which makes sense considering that the main goal of this mobile suit is to pose well and look good while doing it. Not to mention, the build is so solid that you have no real issues holding the poses. What really makes this kit stand out from the God Gundam are the foot stabilizers. The amount that it improves on stability, especially for one-legged poses, is really outstanding. This is probably the best articulation I've seen in a model kit. Usually I'ma put it in a menacing standing pose guy, but this kit really made me enjoy posing it. It really feels more like an action figure than a model kit. Now it's time to wrap it up with the likes and dislikes. I'ma keep it short. The likes are basically everything. The detail, the articulation, the proportions, the gimmicks, it's all what you would ask for in a rendition of the real grade Shining Gundam. It's also relatively inexpensive for a real grade, so the entry point is very low. So if you like this design, you won't be disappointed at all. It really lives up to the greatness that its brother, the God Gundam, achieved. My only real dislike is that the transformation gimmick has no locking mechanisms, so some of the transformation gets undone or redone while posing it. But honestly, this is a tiny nitpick that doesn't detract from the quality of the kit in any significant manner. Overall, this is essentially a fully posable action figure that you build up yourself, and if you're really into that, you should definitely get this kit and really enjoy posing it. That's it for the review. If you found this helpful or enjoyable, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching. Bye!